views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Hello and welcome to Bellas Fashionistas Home Edition. I am your host, Clarissa Bello. It is a pleasure to have you join us on this beautiful afternoon. We trust that you and your loved ones are well and staying safe. In today's Bellas FireSide chat conversation, we welcome the founder and CEO of HISPA, also known as Hispanic Inspiring Students Performance and Achievement, a nonprofit organization that mobilizes Hispanic professionals, aka role models, to emphasize the importance of academics, introduce potential careers, and demonstrate that all students can overcome obstacles and achieve their dreams. Please join me in welcoming Latina trailblazer and Puerto Riqueña, Dr. Ivonne Diaz-Claisse. Dr. Ivonne Diaz-Claisse, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
It is a pleasure to have you join us at our home studio. I know that you recently joined us at our studio at Mercy College earlier this year.
Thank you so much. It's very exciting to be here in these times of COVID-19, to be able to still connect with you and other of your followers. So thank you for inviting me.
Dr. Diaz-Claisse, tell us more about yourself and what it is that you do.
So yes, I'm Ivonne. I'm a doctor in mathematics. I like to think of my life as like kind of the first few years of my career were in academia, pursuing my PhD in mathematics. And while doing that, teaching and also being aware of the lack of Latinas and Latinos in the field of mathematics. Then moving from academia to the corporate world and working for a large telecommunication company. And once again, realizing the power of diversity, the power of inclusion, and becoming very involved with the Hispanic Employee Resource Group of that organization. As a mathematician, as a data analyst, I always say it would have been very hard for me to develop my leadership skills in a way, if you're like constantly looking at data. So by being involved with the Hispanic Employee Resource Group is how I feel that I develop my leadership skills and also my awareness of what was happening in our communities. About 14 years ago, if you can think of that, it was, the changing demographics. It was our communities were changing so quickly. And I started being invited to speak at schools and speak at different events. And I will never forget speaking at a school in Newark, New Jersey, telling my story and having all of these students being inspired. And in particular, wanting my autograph, which was a very humbling experience and also an eye-opener. So that day, I decided that something needed to be done. And what needed to be done was to really mobilize Latino professionals and make sure that all of us step into classrooms and share our stories. Because with our stories, we can validate students' dreams. And that's when HISPA became to be what it is today. I literally made a decision to do that. It was kind of like an aha moment, finding my vocation and decided that if I didn't do it, I didn't know who was going to do it. And the rest is history. I quit my job at AT&T and I, told all my friends and their friends that we needed to unite to do this. And we launched HISPA in 2008 with a kickoff event. Our goal was to mobilize 100 role models in 100 hours. And we did it. Not only we mobilized 100 professionals, but we had already 4 schools that wanted us to partner with them. And that was the first year of HISPA.
Dr. Diaz-Claisse, there are not too many Latina mathematicians now, and I want to thank you for the incredible work that you have been doing with HISPA throughout the past decade. It is very inspiring to see how HISPA has been transforming the lives of our Latino youth. You are an inspiration.
Thank you for your words, kind words. We are on this together. The work that you're doing, the work that HISPA is doing, and other organizations is so important. And I would say, it was important 14 years ago, and it's even more important now. Our demographics continue to grow. Our students continue to struggle to believe that they belong in different places. And it just really breaks my heart. Sometimes when we get thank you cards from the students, some of the students will say, thank you, because I know now that even though I'm Latino or Latina, I know I can pursue a university degree or become an engineer or etc. And it's kind of like shocking to think that our students feel that way. So it's very moving.
A mutual friend of ours, Rob Cologne, had reached out to me via LinkedIn, asking me if I could be able to volunteer with sharing my story to students in Elizabeth, New Jersey. It was a life-changing experience for me. It totally created an impact, not only in their lives, but also in my life. So I want to thank you for the incredible work that you have been mobilizing Latino professionals to share the story so that our youth could be able to see people like us, that if anyone could do it, they could also do it themselves. So thank you. Thank you for initiating this incredible platform where we share our stories.
And when you were thanking me, I have to just kind of take that thank you and spread it over 3,000 times, because it's all the people like yourself and many others that have accepted our invitation to step into classrooms and be role models. And many people have, it's really blown my mind sometimes when I think about someone from Princeton, New Jersey, that found out that our program was in a school in the Bronx in New York City, and she was from the Bronx. And for her to just get in the car, drive 2 hours to tell her story in the school where she went to. There's so many stories like that maybe we're not sharing because our focus is so much, we focus so much in the students, but there's many wonderful stories about the impact of this work on the adults. So another story that I haven't shared, and if it's okay, I would like to share, was being invited by the superintendent to a meeting in a new school district. And I wasn't sure how that invitation came to be. So I went there, and all of a sudden, the principal of one of the schools walked into the meeting, and she said to me, you don't know this, but the first year of HISPA, when you spoke at a school in New Brunswick, New Jersey, I was an assistant teacher, and you inspired me to push myself to get more education and become a principal. So, it's so amazing, kind of like the secondary effect. I have to use a mathematical term to explain it, right? It's the secondary effect of what we're doing.
So inspiring.
One more story, which is amazing, is one of our teachers was very passionate about technology. And because of our events and our networking, all of a sudden, one day I went to another company, and he was there. And I'm like, why are you here? You are a teacher in X school. And she's like, I work here now. So he also took kind of like the inspiration from the role models and found his true vocations, his true passion to go and pursue a career in one of the companies from where the role models work. So it has been quite an amazing journey of not only seeing the amazing impact we're having on the students, but also the teachers and ourselves, right? To connect with our roots, to connect with our stories, to remember our grandparents and what we learned from them, and to have that moment of, I overcame a lot of of things. And here I am, and celebrate your accomplishments.
Tell us how HISPA has been able to pivot throughout COVID-19 pandemic.
It was really a big shock for us, as it was for everyone. But we were in within a week of hosting one of our big events of the year, which is a youth conference at Columbia University. It was scheduled for March 13. So by March 7, we have to make a decision and postpone the conference. And I would say it was just a true shock for all of us. The reality check of, what does it all mean? Looking retroactively, it was kind of that shock, but at the same time, I can only explain it as, at the same time, it's like a window of creativity, open up on how we're going to still fulfill our mission to inspire students to pursue higher education and really ignite a desire, for education. How do we do that if we cannot be in the schools or at the youth conference or bringing them to our corporations? And, for about 4 years, we've been talking about our Vision 2020, 20,000 inspirational stories for our youth. So it was a project that we've been working on and trying to get to that number by doing physical visits. But then we realized with COVID, it was time to do a virtual web platform, a place where students could truly connect with us and see and hear our stories the same way we tell them in the classroom, but in a web platform. So within 2 weeks, we had our pilot. And I remember one of our partner organization said to us, we're having our CARES month of voluntarism in April. Do you have anything for us to include? And I'm like, yes, we have a platform. And having to really literally pivot and make sure that our first, pilot was ready to go by April 1st was quite a challenge. But we did it. And we are so excited. We have right now 40 stories that are actively being accessed by students, where the students can literally look for stories depending on their culture, their languages, how skilled English learners or not. When did we come to the United States? If we came from another country, if we grew up here. I mean, literally, the students can search for the stories based on different criteria. And I'm very proud of that. So building that tool has been quite a dream come true, put it that way.
We will take a quick break, and when we return, Dr. Diaz-Claisse will discuss the programs and resources HISPA is currently providing to students in the tri-state area and throughout the United States. Don't go anywhere.
TV news, radio reports, and newspaper headlines in the 1970s and 80s misrepresented communities in the borough of the Bronx. Then, something transformative happened. By, for, and about the Bronx, BronxNet was born.
We are BronxNet!
BronxNet provides media education,
opening the doors to competitive careers in the media industry
for thousands of students in middle school,
high school,
and college.
BronxNet.
Welcome back. Dr. Diaz-Claisse, tell us more about the web platform HISPA implemented throughout COVID.
We call it 20,000 inspirational stories for our youth. And this is literally a website where students can visit and access our stories. Our goal was immediately when COVID happened, we could no longer visit the students in the classroom. So we wanted to make sure that they still have access to the 6 school visits that we have planned. So what we did is by putting our profiles and our videos of our stories in the platform, we could give easy access to the stories to the schools. And of course, with something new, you have to go one step at a time. So I'm very grateful to a specific school in Elizabeth, New Jersey, who, the liaison there, the counselor worked closely with me. We had the first pilot where some videos were shared with about 10 students. The students gave us immediate feedback, and we were able to reply to that feedback. Then we expanded to 5 schools in Elizabeth, then to the 7 schools in Passaic. So we did it one step at a time so we can oversee the quality, the impact, and the reactions from the students and from the teachers. And I can tell you, at least 400 students have participated. And one thing that is amazing is that their reaction to the stories via the videos are very similar to the reaction of our school visits. When I say reactions, I mean the surveys that they answer on how impactful that visit or that video was in their setting going to college as a goal, or in learning about careers, or just being inspired to do better in school. So that was very like a wonderful validation moment for us to know that the metrics of both the video format, we call it the virtual role model program, and the regular HISPA role model program are very similar.
What an incredible way that HISPA has been able to maintain resourceful to the students that you serve. Tell us more about how these students were able to see these stories. Were they funneled through the school, or was it through your website?
It was funneled through the schools. We had not opened, the site is not open. It wasn't open at that point to the public. It was specifically created for them. And specifically, we were working with role models that were already signed in, ready to visit. So they have had the training and the support from HISPA, such that we can ensure, that quality and develop a process. We needed to develop a process of how to share that. And the way they did it was to incorporate it into their curriculum. It was like for extra points to support the students. If you watch this video, then you get extra points and so forth. And the idea was for the students to find balance the workload that they were having and some of the challenges they were experiencing. We have to all realize our students and our Latino community have been impacted by COVID-19 disproportionately. And we have heard many stories of students that are not able to participate in school at all because maybe they all of a sudden are the adult in the house to take care of siblings. So we heard many stories, the students inspiring us, right, to continue forward. But at the end of the day, what we wanted to accomplish, I will say, you can look at it both ways. Right? We're trying to look at it with a positive perspective that over 400 students have participated and given us feedback, and the feedback is wonderful. At the same time, there's so many students that still could watch the videos, could still have access to this programming, and we want to make sure that we do our part to, now that we have done part of the work, right, that it is being we're optimizing in the impact that it's having by making sure more school districts know about our work. And that's part of sharing. I'm happy that I can share this with you because schools really want to have access to specifically Latino role models for our children, and that's something that we have become kind of the expert on or the best in class. We have a brand that is recognized nationwide for this work. And now we have a way to bring our stories to any students in the United States.
It is very inspiring. And also the mobilization that took place from the schools to the role models. I mean, I could only think in the back of my head the amount of pre-planning, strategizing, logistics that went into this incredible platform that you and your team created. Can you tell us more about how you were able to put this together and what was the process?
We always say that the devil's on the details, right? And people say sometimes, oh, the work that you do, you're sending people to the schools. It sounds very simple, right? But we have been building relationship with the school districts for 14 years to be in the place where we are today. Working with the school districts is a very important task, and it has to be done right. School districts have, Board of Education, They have to be, any partner has to be approved. And we have to go through that process for every school district we work with. So that definitely is a big part of HISPA, is building those relationships with the schools. Also, we want to be very efficient with the schools. We don't want to be like, giving them more work, right? So in a way, we become part of the school, like a consultant to the school in a way, right? So we try to keep it as simple as possible for the school. Then you talk about the role models. I mean, I can tell you it's been an amazing experience. I have like nonstop since April. We've been giving lunch and learns and webinars. Rod Colon, our role model program director, and myself, literally, we have spoke to Office Depot in South Florida, Verizon employees nationwide, AT&T employees in South Jersey, San Antonio, and North Jersey. We have presentations with Bristol Myers Squibb. So all our Latino employee resource groups have been an amazing partner. Again, partners with HISPA. I always say, we want to be like kind of like the right hand in the community, such that they don't have to waste time, doing kind of like the hormiga trabajadora, the work that is about building the relationship with the school, getting the schedule, making sure who the students are, keeping track of the data. We do all of that so that when you as a professional, you have 2 hours in a month to give back to the community, that hour is to inspire a student, is to record your video, is to, have an impact. So that's what we work. So we work at schools. You can think of like departments in HISPA, is the school relationships, and then there is the role model relationships. And we every day is a new day for us. We have amazing new potential partners reaching out to us, because now once again we can have employee resource group in Chicago that wants to be involved, or in Hawaii, right, or in Puerto Rico. So it is a very, very exciting times for the work that we do and for making our mission a reality.
So inspiring.
And there's one more pillar I haven't spoken about, which is our funders, right? Immediately when COVID started, it was amazing to me how the funders were reaching out to us. And I'm so grateful for that, because, the first thing that you think about is, when you run a nonprofit organization, you have funding that is restricted, right? The funding that is restricted for the role model program, or restricted for a corporate visit. We call those days Imagine Days, or for the youth conference. And, having a couple of organizations reaching out to us, for example, Wells Fargo was an organization that came to us and they said, how can we help? And that was amazing. So similarly, other organizations have come to us, and we have been able to redirect some of the funding to build a platform. So I'm just so grateful to every single organization that have continued to support us through this. So once again, it's something that cannot be done in silos, right? It's not just a relationship with the schools or having the role models. It's also these important foundations that are making our work a reality.
How many schools does HISPA work with in the state of New York and New Jersey? That is, besides the other states that you provide these services to our youth, which is California, Florida. Tell us more about how many schools you're currently working with.
The place where we have the most schools is New Jersey. New Jersey is definitely, we have worked with up to 40 different schools in New Jersey. In New York City, we have worked with 5 different schools. But this last year, we had the program only 1 school. We definitely want to continue to grow our impact in New York City. We have one partner, Refinitiv, that came forward this year and said, we want to support you expanding in New York City. So we are working towards that. But in total, in the country, we have worked with at least 45 different schools at any given time, right? So, but, with this programming now, maybe we can double by next year.
Tell us what's next. What is the future of HISPA?
This whole month, we are reflecting on what we have accomplished together. So we have a whole social media campaign showing our gratitude and celebrating hope and love, which is what we bring to the students. So please join us in that campaign, help us get more followers, and really continue to spread the good work of the HISPA role models. But when it comes to programmatic support for the schools, I think the sky is the limit. The question is, how do we stay focused on 1, 2, or 3 programs versus doing 25 different programs, each one for a different school? So this is a work in progress. But for example, we have had conversations with the school district that have said to us, we would love to have more visits. So instead of the standard role model program to be is 6 visits, that it would be 8 or 12 visits, but it's with more role models and less students, to have more like a conversation, like mentoring circles or role modeling circles. And that's something we are exploring. How can we implement that? And that would be amazing, right? Because now with technology, we can all do this from home, but now we can be in a conversation where we can address some of the questions of the kids in a more intimate environment, right? Even though that we're not in person, we're still a smaller group working together. So that's a possibility. A possibility is that one of our programs for next year is that we do role modeling circles with smaller students, and that will give us the opportunity to engage many more role models. We are open to ideas, and definitely if any of the people in the audience have an idea that they want to explore with us, we're definitely open to that conversation. We want to make sure that, once again, we are efficient and we provide something that is truly impactful, because it's hard for the students too, being in the school day, on the computer all day, and now, adding more to that. So we have to find a balance, and that's going to be the tricky one. But I like solving problems, so I am excited about the opportunity.
Thank you for joining us, Dr. Diaz-Claisse. It is always a pleasure to have you at Bellas Fashionistas. We are very proud of the incredible work that you and your team continue to do at HISPA to be able to transform the lives of our Latino community. As you know, Bellas Fashionistas is your home, and we are here to give you the support needed to serve and support HISPA. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Congratulations on the work that you're doing. And thank you for bringing the Latina stories to our communities. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us. Be sure to follow us on social media at Bellas Fashionistas and our media partner at BronxNet TV. To watch more of the programming, please visit our websites at bellasfashionistas.com and our media partner at BronxNet.org. Please be safe. Have a great day.